New tonight, federal authorities are warning a ruthless criminal gang from Venezuela has now infiltrated the U.S., where it is being linked to a string of brutal and violent crimes. From an alleged multi-state human trafficking ring to the murder of a nursing student in Georgia and attacks against police officers in New York. Officials say these apparently unrelated crimes all have a common denominator. CNN's Rafael Romo has been investigating the gang and their growing presence here in the U.S. Rafael, what more are you learning about this?
Jessica, we already knew Tren de Aragua had spread its tentacles across South America. In the last several months, we investigated cases here in the United States that have all the markings of the gang. And now federal and local law enforcement, members of Congress, and immigrants are all telling us the same thing. The gang is now here in the country, and it poses a serious threat. For the last several years, they have terrorized multiple South American countries. Police in the region say a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua has victimized thousands through extortion, drug and human trafficking, kidnapping, and murder. And now U.S. law enforcement, including Customs and Border Protection and the FBI, say the gang has made their way into the country.
The FBI El Paso can confirm that members of Tren de Aragua have crossed into the United States.
Álvaro Boza, a former Venezuelan police officer now living in Florida, says he fled his country in large part because the gang had become so powerful they could kill law enforcement like him with impunity. Boza says a fellow police officer who refused to cooperate with the gang was shot 50 times.
He refused and was murdered. He tied his body to a motorcycle and dragged it throughout the San Vicente neighborhood to demonstrate the power of the Tren de Agua.
They have followed the migration paths across South America to other countries and have set up criminal groups throughout South America as they follow those paths, and that they appear to have followed the migration north to the United States.
U.S. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens, who has confirmed multiple arrests of alleged Tren de Aragua members over the last year, issued a warning in early April after reporting yet another arrest. Watch out for this gang, he said. It is the most powerful in Venezuela, known for murder, drug trafficking, sex crimes, extortion, and other violent acts. The challenge for law enforcement officials is that it's very difficult to know how many members of Tren de Aragua are already here in the United States. What some Venezuelan immigrants are telling us here in Florida and other states is that they are already beginning to see in their communities the same type of criminal activity they fled from in Venezuela.
They do have their hands in prostitution, contract killing, selling of drugs, selling of arms. You name it. It's just all types of criminal activity that they can engage in. Anything that's an illicit activity, they're going to engage in for a profit.
Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan street gang that is operating in the United States.
A judge in Miami-Dade County said in a hearing that one of two suspects in the murder of a former Venezuelan police officer in South Florida allegedly is a member of the gang. And more recently, a New York police source told CNN the 19-year-old who allegedly opened fire on two officers after they tried to stop him for riding a scooter in the wrong direction has tattoos associated with the gang.
El gobierno no sabe quiénes que están aquí.
Boza, the former Venezuelan police officer, says the U.S. government has no way of knowing if a Venezuelan immigrant asking for asylum at the southern border is, in reality, a criminal because Venezuela, as a matter of policy, does not share intelligence with the United States.
Our biggest concern would be making sure our partners are aware to be on the lookout.
And that's the key, federal officials say, when it comes to making sure this new threat in the United States does not grow into the national security challenge it's become in several Latin American countries. There are more than 70 cases here in the U.S. in which Tren de Aragua is mentioned in law enforcement documents or prosecutors' complaints. From those cases, the CBP and Border Patrol in Texas identified 58 gang members between the beginning of fiscal year 2023 and the end of May. The rest appear in complaints made by victims or arrest reports that point to the possible involvement of the suspects with this organized crime group. Jessica, back to you.
All right, Rafael Romo, thanks so much for that reporting.